Welcome to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales, where hosts Kevin Lawson and O'Shaughnessey discuss the strategies that will set your sales team up for success in the coming year. In this episode, they'll share why delivering your sales compensation plans by December 1st is crucial, and how incorporating cliffs and escalators can drive year-end results and build momentum for next year. They'll also explore the strategic projects you should be prioritizing to stay ahead of the competition, from adding new technology to developing your team's skills. If you're ready to finish this year strong and kick off FY25 with a winning strategy, this episode is packed with insights you can't afford to miss. Hey, Sean, what time of year is it?
Kevin, as we record this, the leaves are starting to change. Football is in the air. I was watching football last night. I'm going to be watching football again tonight. We're constantly reminded that it's getting close to the time when the snow falls and St. Nicholas is going to be coming down the chimney. But that also tells us that we got to get ready for next year, because as sales leaders, we have to plan well in advance if we're going to plan at all.
So that means if you're on your commute now, don't write what I'm about to say, but come back to this or create your voice note or whatever you do to memorialize and capture this. You need to be thinking about and actioning three major things. They're probably already on your radar, but now is the time to work on them, not the end of this year. So they are prioritized. Do your comp plan review. Make sure your commission plan is still driving the outcomes that you want. Think about next year. What are the strategic projects you need to accomplish? Not the sales goal, that's coming too, but the strategic projects. Do you need to add tech, people, regions? I mean, all the big things that are over and above your normal growth goals. And then finally, and probably most significantly to your leadership or you as an owner, is FY20 plans, FY25 plans. Wow, I don't want to redo 2020. FY2025 plans by quarter, by territory, by focus product. Let's get intentional now and not wait till January to go, oh, shucks, I haven't finalized the goals. Let's get that done now so that we can be effective in planning in December for January, right? The year starts before the calendar rolls.
I'm a firm believer in compensation plans need to be delivered to the sales team on December 1st or whatever date you can find close to that December 1st. I haven't looked at the calendar this year to figure out if it's a Monday or not, but you need to deliver roughly December 1st the compensation plans for your salespeople. Now, why is that important? So first of all, if you have a good compensation plan, you have something that I call a cliff. A cliff is, I'm going to start January's compensation plan, January's commission rate at a lower rate than the top end rate of 2024. So I need to really reinforce to the sales team on December 1st, look, you close the deal in December, you're going to get paid more than you're going to do if that deal slips to January. So don't let it slip, because you know what? Next year's coming, but this year is really, really important, and this year is what we're being graded on. So make sure that your compensation plan for next year does have those cliffs if you don't have them available. So basically what you want to have is an escalator that increases your compensation throughout the year. The more you sell, the higher your rate goes. Doesn't have to be stupid, silly, but at least it needs to be, if you're being successful, you're getting paid more, so that the end of the year, you now have a cliff, or you have a built-in reason to try to push deals forward as fast as possible. Now, I'll tell salespeople, it's almost impossible to convince a customer to buy early, but it's really, really easy for a salesperson to hold the deal for next year. And this is where it's really important, because you don't want salespeople to say, I know I got a quota next year, so I'm going to kind of slow this one down. I'm going to be a little slower getting back on the quotes. I'm going to be a little slower at scheduling the next meeting. And that slips that deal into Q1, so now they look like a hero at the beginning of the year. No, you don't want that. As a sales leader, you don't want that. So build that cliff in your compensation plan. Deliver that compensation plan in December. That way they can read it, they can understand it, they know how they're going to get paid next year, plus they have a built-in incentive and reminder, get these deals done in December.
So let's pull on that yarn a little bit more, because I subscribe to that same theory. We want to incentivize the behaviors that we want that drive the outcomes we need. So I don't talk about cliffs, though. I only talk about escalators because I don't want to think I don't want a salesperson that works for me thinking that, hey, they're losing out or I'm being greedy. But let's think about how the compensation plan makes you as an owner who's administering this, or a sales leader who's administering this, be perceived. So if we have escalators at the end of the year, right, we're incentivizing the sales. Go out and close. Don't stop selling. Don't stop closing. We also, this is a direct look to why we don't have caps on commissions and incentives. Having a cap is a detractor to a sales culture and people that want to stay. I had a conversation yesterday with a highly productive person who says, once I hit 120% of goal, my incentive stops. I go back and go back to regular commission. They don't want to pay me for excessive success. So when you're thinking as an owner about, hey, I'm reading all these leadership books around, growing my business, grinding, working harder, working smarter, effective this. If you're trying to 3x, 4x, 5x your business, putting a cap on commissions will stall that growth. You'll instead find your sales team, and you may be experiencing this now, only trying to forecast a 6 or 7% growth. Why do they do that? Because they know that they are capped by what they could earn. So that also probably looks like them always having their eyes open to what opportunities are out there for uncapped commission. So bases, incentives, commissions, plus accelerators equals great sales plans. And when administered well, you take out some of the lumpiness in your sales cycles because people are always focused on driving that success.
So Kevin and I are fractional VPs of sales. And we often go into clients, we try to fix their problems when it comes to revenue. One of the things that I do, and I know Kevin does as well, is we will do a sales compensation review for a customer, right? We'll sit down, kind of walk through it, help them figure out what they're doing wrong. And that very thing that Kevin was just talking about was really important. And that is, how do you incent your salespeople to actually try to get bigger, try to go faster, try to get as much revenue as they possibly can? And that's all about sales compensation. It's also about, gee, do I call on that existing customer that's not going to buy anymore, but they're really good friends? Or do I go and really work hard and try to find a new customer that's going to bring in some more revenue? It's a lot more fun, let's be honest, to call on the existing friend and take him to golf and just hang out, even if he's not going to buy anymore. So we need to incent the right behaviors, and your sales compensation plan is the way to do that. And the time to write that sales compensation plan is starting, October 15th or November 1st, something like that, so you can deliver it on December, because you really want them to be on board and ready to go on January 1st. So we will regularly come in and help a customer do that. I help a client do it. Sometimes that's all we do. In fact, it's probably my most frequent request: come in and help me fix my sales compensation plan. And I'm happy to do that for any of my clients that want me to do that. So the issue there also is, you've already paid for that employee. If you have a good compensation plan, something like a 50-50 plan, base versus variable, that base pay has already been paid for. And if that salesperson is kicking it, if they're really in accelerators, they've paid for their base. The profitability for what they've already sold is paid for their base. So you actually are spending less money per dollar of revenue by paying accelerators and not capping it. You actually, if you do the math, and I've done the math with owners many, many times, if you do the math, it's actually more profitable for you to have them bring in more revenue in 1 year than another year. So really think about your compensation plan, how it incents that behavior. And once again, really think about it for next year right now.
So Sean and I are talking about reminders and planning for the rest of this year, the rest of this fiscal year. The next topic is strategic projects for next year. We're in sales, we're not in IT, so we're not talking about changing accounting systems here. That may be on the strategic projects list for the organization, but in sales, we're thinking about, hey, how are we accessing more leads, building better content, or aligning better with marketing to produce better results, adding resources? A lot of discussions I'm having right now in the market are, do I hire another salesperson, or do I hire a sales analyst? Do I hire a demo resource, someone who's not quota carrying, but are quota enhancing? So as sales leaders, we're overhead. right? We're the coaches. We're not shooting the 3-pointers, and we're not standing on the foul line making the game-winning shots. What we are doing is thinking about the strategy that's going to get us across the finish line and into the winner's circle for the year. So these strategic projects are over and above your regular job duties. These are the ones that are other duties as assigned here. So thinking about strategic projects could be resources, human resources. What are we adding people-wise? Technology, are we keeping up? AI has been a game changer this year. You may need to do an evaluation between now and the end of the year on what tech to add. Sean, what are some strategic projects you're talking about with some of your customers or that you've talked about in the past?
Skills building. Like, we really need to spend time with our people. You've got 2, 3, 5, 10 salespeople, 20 salespeople on your team. If you can get a little bit more out of every single one of them, it is so big in your income for the company. It's big for their income as well. One of the things I've learned is many times salespeople, especially in a smaller company, so I'm not talking about working for IBM. So if you're listening to me from IBM, I know you have these skills or these capabilities out there. But if you're in a small company, which is what most of our listeners are, you don't spend enough time on their skills building. What do they know how to do? What don't they know how to do? What could they do a little bit better if they just went to a 3-hour class? So think of, for next year, how are you going to build the skills of your salespeople, of your sales team? Be they quota carrying people, which everybody's like, oh, I don't want to take them out of the field. No, think about it. Let's make them better. They'll get more revenue. Or maybe they're like Kevin just was talking about, the people that help the salespeople get better. But let's think about investing in them a little bit on skills building. Let's get them to a class. Let's get them to that skill, that interpersonal skill that they're not doing well. Let's make sure they know how to use PowerPoint as best as they possibly can. Kevin was just talking about artificial intelligence. Let's get them into an artificial intelligence class on how salespeople can take advantage of AI without kind of breaking the rules of, stealing content and whatever. So let's get them into those classes. I have some classes I can recommend. I know, Kevin, you have some classes that you recommend as well. Happy to have those conversations with you, but let's make sure that our salespeople are well-rounded employees and contributing across the board throughout the organization, not just on the bottom line of building revenue.
We should probably make a nod here to the leader, owner, operator who may be asking themselves now, hey, what does that look like? And where I start, and so this is some free consulting for all you owners out there. If you've never said, this is where I'm going to invest strategically in training, we're talking about breaking your sales process down. If you have a full cycle salesperson, meaning from lead to contract close implementation, there's probably an opportunity for training, because you've got somebody who's good at developing prospects, may stink at writing scope, or somebody who's great at writing scope, heads down detail work, they probably struggle with some of the networking and prospecting. Same thing for negotiating and closing. There's areas in your selling process that you should have documented that you can say, hey, where's this person not performing at the highest level? And you may have 3 people in your sales organization who are all performing very highly at different parts of that. That's evidence of how they can cross-pollinate. They can teach each other as well as seek outside training. But thinking about the other, part of strategic projects is also, you've got to, as a leader, owner, operator, think about FY25. What are we doing by quarter, by customer segment, by product line for next year? If you're thinking about these things in only the time window of the rest of this year, we've got to extend your thinking. We want you to adopt some capability and capacity thinking. This is where am I growing? If you've ever worked for a manufacturer, you know that supersession is a big deal. Cannibalizing last year's product with next year's product, the model 100 versus the model 101 kind of thinking. This is a really big deal for you, whether you're in small business, professional services, consulting, manufacturing, any type of trades organization where you're selling high ticket items in construction or wholesale. This is the critical time now, because you have the responsibility to go out and negotiate some of these buy side deals. And if you've never thought about this, I'm talking about where you make your purchasing money. This is where you negotiate and really amp up your ability to successfully grow your gross profit dollars at the same time you're growing your capability to sell through to your additional customers.
Yeah, so we're running out of time here, so I'm going to kind of wrap this up. One of the things that you should also consider is just doing an assessment of your company. Just go through the process of what do we do well and what don't we do well. You have 3 or 4 months now before the beginning of next year. Let's take the time to understand where your weaknesses are and how to check off one of those. You're going to hear at the end of this podcast, you're going to hear about how to take a sales assessment, right? Take the sales assessment. It's easy to do. It takes 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes to answer the questions. Figure out where you can improve versus the great companies that we've compared you to. We're going to give you a score, and we're going to let you figure out, gee, I'm not doing that one very well. I got a low grade compared to what is considered to be best practice. So take the time to figure out what you need to improve. So next year, don't try to boil the ocean. Pick one of those, maybe 2 of them that you're going to knock out. If you really find that you need to fix 5 or 6 things, you might want to give Kevin or I a call and we can help you go faster. But if it's just you and you just want to do it yourself, pick 1 or 2. Hopefully that's the only things that you're not doing at best practice level, and knock those out. Get them done. And before anything, I'm just going to repeat it again. Get your sales compensation done and deliver it on December 1st.
What a great episode, Sean and Kevin. Today, I learned so much about how uncapped commission plans can be a game changer for your sales team's performance. Kevin's point about why capping commissions limits growth was especially eye-opening. Uncapped plans not only incentivize your team to over-deliver, but they also keep top talent engaged and focused on long-term success. If you're trying to 3x or 5x your business, removing commission caps could be the key to unlocking that next level of growth. And don't forget that significant actionable item from today's episode. Deliver your sales compensation plans by December 1st. Sean and Kevin emphasized how cliffs and escalators in your compensation structure can push your team to close deals before year end, setting them and your business up for a strong start in the new year. Don't wait. Use this tip today before you get swept up in the busyness of daily operations. If you're looking for help with your sales strategy, management, or just growing your company, Sean and Kevin are here to support you. You can find their contact details in the show notes, and while you're there, take the quick 10-question assessment to see how your sales team measures up. It's a great way to identify areas for improvement and start 2025 off on the right foot. Until next Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Happy selling, and get those commission plans done.